Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Jackie and I'm never tacky. In today's video, I wish I glass was at night. I want to wind down, but I don't. I was just watching Desperate Housewives. I did my makeup, but I was just watching Desperate Housewives, and Bree's era just reminded me of an era in my life. But we're gonna be talking, are you serious or a self-isolation? So a little bit of background on me. Honestly, I felt like isolating was a coping mechanism for me because I did grow up in my most formative years. My most formative years, I did grow up in a house with 3 other boys, mom and just me. And obviously the boys are gonna do the boys things. They would play video games together and stuff like that. Not that I did not try to engage. Like, I did play video games at some point in my life, trying to fit into my environment. And at some point I grew out of that setting because at the end of the day, nature calls. I'm a girl. It got to a point where nature calls. Like, I would have instances where, it gets to a point where don't wear that, and it's just like, but anyways, going back to it, I used being by myself, and I wasn't like such like a social kid. Like, we moved around a lot in my we moved around a lot. First off, we came from Africa. Even in Africa, we had already moved twice in the first 5 years of my life. We had already moved the first 5 years of my life, and then we came to America. I can't even count how many times I have moved in my lifetime, I will tell you. But I have known who's been there with me this whole time. But it got to a point. So going back to that, I just learned how to keep my own company, be my friend. In high school, the only way people really truly know me, it was just because it wasn't that many black people. And I did talk every now and then. I'm not gonna say I was like talkative, but if I wasn't black at my school, I don't think people would have remembered me. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it was a surge of the I feel like if I wasn't black at my school, like, people would not have remembered me. So that's why I didn't have like a proper friend group. I only had one friend in high school. Throughout my whole entire life, I had one friend. So yeah, anyways, going back to it, my most formative years I spent behind the desktop. Like, you guys are aware of the desktop kid, but I mean the iPad kid. I was the desktop kid, meaning I was in front of the computer screen all the time. I used to play every single game on the computer. That was the only way. And I did used to make webcam videos a lot. There might be somewhere out there on the internet. I hope they have been deleted or I was able to delete them. I did go under a different alias at the time because of course I don't want people to find it. But I felt like all that time alone, that was the only way that I learned how to like cope. Of course I would read, watch TV, and that's about it. And it wasn't until I got a little bit older and I was allowed to wear makeup is where, again, it's another self-isolating task. I'm keeping myself busy, but I'm not in front of people. And honestly, I feel like that stunted my growth in a way because, of course, I like to call myself like a late bloomer when it comes to everything. And that's because I grew up in a pretty strict household. Like, I was the youngest, so of course I'm going to get all of the rules. Like they don't seem what worked and what doesn't, and some of it didn't even work on me. Like, anyways, so I felt like isolation came super early in my life, and I just kind of like gripped to it, and that was my way of navigating through this whole life thing. And I'm also the type of person, like, if I'm going through a hard time, I'm able to soothe myself, and that was what it was. And I know the term mysterious or I'm just shy. I don't know what to say. I might even overshare because I did not practice those people skills. Now, when things came to a head for me, the first time that I noticed this pattern in my adult life where I was like, I'm not a socially it's when my YouTube channel kind of popped off and I was able to live off of that income. But with that, you're making videos in a room by yourself like I am now. And when I decided, let me take a step back, go back to school and work a regular daily job, y'all, that job was also isolating. I'm sitting in front of a computer and I'm just literally the same exact thing. Sitting in front of a computer, I engage with the manager every other hour or the beginning of the shift, and it's like a 12-hour shift, the beginning of the shift and at the end of the shift. That's when the first awareness came around. Now, if you're in the girl sphere, the whole mysterious thing became a thing, and I was like, oh, I can kind of adapt this as my personality because, ooh, I'm mysterious, this is fun, But when you're mysterious with no material to be mysterious about, it is draining because you have no life source. I kind of like makeup was one of those like outlets for me. I kind of stepped away from that. So I feel like I'm rambling, but we're gonna get to the end of the video. But it wasn't until I was faced of course, like I feel like fast forward to 25 when I got hit with my tumor. Like when I found out that I had a tumor growing inside of me, and then I could have lost my life. That's when I finally decided to get over. I was like, but you know what? It's now or never. I finally decided to get over my fear of heights and fly and start flying. I took my first trip last year, and then a little bit of a pause moment there, because all I did was work home, and if it wasn't work home, it was work school, and that was it. I was not building a life worth living, to be quite honest with you. And at some point, like, that self-isolating was just not pacifying me. It wasn't pacifying me at all. So it wasn't until, like, I feel like at the beginning and early in this year, at the beginning of the year, is when I decided, like, this is not going to work. Clearly it's not working anymore. It's not serving me anymore. I look up, like, I'm 26 now. I'm 27 now on the filming of this video. But when I first had that thought, I was 26, and I was just like, this self-isolating stuff is not going to work. And another thing is that I had promised myself I wouldn't drink alone. Like, I would just socially drink. When I started to drink alone, and like every other day, I was like, no, this has to, okay, like at some point something has got to give, because I was essentially breaking my own rules, and that was a rule that I had made to myself. But like drinking alone was where I was just like, we need to make a change. So essentially I just started, I canceled my gym memberships. I don't go to gyms. And I know people say like, oh, the gyms is where you socialize with people. 9 times out of 10 people are not approachable. I have a mug on me. I'm just like this, and it's not like that I want to make myself more approachable. I would rather just do my workout and go on about my day, but I do want to feel grounded and able to, like, you know, regulate the nervous system in a way. So I do my workout outdoors for the most part. And then another thing that I did incorporate was therapy, because therapy was a very, very crucial, because I was able to intellectualize my feelings. As always, like I say, when I'm going through a hard time, I like to go to myself first, like always myself. I would say I'm good. If I would say, my people would say I'm the least, like, it's not a badge anymore. It's just, again, that self-isolation had taught me to soothe me. But when I wasn't able to do it, I had to go to therapy. And I'm a person that I'm really good at intellectualizing my feelings. I'm able to explain myself well. But it got to a point where I was just harboring a lot of anger, and that just wasn't going to work anymore. And at the time, it was just like, yeah, I was biting. I mean, I'm already a nail biter, but I was biting my nails even more, to the point where I would get like scabs on every hand. Now it's like a force of habit. But one of the books that really opened my eyes was The Body Keeps Score. The Body Keeps Score was like, oh, so you think this and this. I don't know. I'm not a big advocate for that book, because why should we sympathize with some of the people in that book? But it got to a point. It got some points across. So yeah. And then I realized I was not living my life large enough, because it just felt like black. Like, I have my college degree, black. Like, and then another thing was, I was not being creative with my time. I wasn't really living a life I felt like it was worth living. So when I finally was like, okay, we're gonna get over this, let's catch a flight, I was able to go to do my first solo trip. And I was like, oh, that's exciting, that's fun. I actually vlogged it. It's on here somewhere on my channel. I was able to start kind of like trusting myself and building myself up brick by brick. And I'm not saying I'm fully there, because I feel like a form of like experimental therapy, I would say, is also this. Creating content full-time and consistently is what I want to do, is what I am doing. So that's another thing. So I do feel like we get caught up in the whole, oh, I'm mysterious, but you have no depth. But ever since I felt like I'm living in a present now, I read a whole lot more. I feel like I look a whole lot better than I did. Like, I feel like I look a whole lot better. I read a lot more. I'm interested in a whole lot more topics. And another thing too was, like, since I did not have enough, like enough social interactions to be able to gauge or assign my social barometer, like what do I share, what do I not share. I was talkative. I was as talkative as I can be, and it wasn't until then I learned what was socially acceptable, what was socially not, and what do I expect from people that I want in my personal circle, or even having like a bit of an insight to who I am. Because I used to overshare a lot, thinking that, oh, like they're gonna feel like they're relating to it, and oftentimes people in your vicinity do not, because they're following a social order. And that's another thing that made me also feel like these people don't get me anyways. Like why even say anything? You know what I'm saying? But like looking back, is like, what are four boys gonna teach? But like, you know, like, so that's where like I forced myself to be even more talkative. Like after going on trips, the best way that I could describe it, if I would every time that I do go to a new city now, I book group events. I do eat out and stuff like that by myself, but I do book group experiences when we get the city tour and stuff like that. I talk to the people within the group, we laugh. Like oftentimes, like the trips that I like, the things that I do book, it has like older couples, and 2 of the times I've been adopted by older couples, and they would be like, oh, let's buy you lunch, and I didn't have freaky, let's buy you lunch, da 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 da. But I usually just tell them like, oh, my friends, I ain't got no friends. Oh, my friends, they're at the hotel. They just didn't want to join on this part of the trip. But I will, like, you know, I will tell them that I'm with somebody when I'm actually not. But it also teaches me how to engage with people, because another thing too, with the job that I did have, you don't talk to people really. But when I did used to work fast food, like way back in college and high school and stuff like that, you're able to engage with people. You're able to read people a whole lot better. And when you don't have like a front-facing customer service like job, you tend to just like be in your own head. And I'm glad that I did get to be in my own head and realize like the sale that I was building or have built for myself, because now it was just like literally eye-opening. I realized in this season, like I really be thinking deep. Like why this, why that? Like I feel like in the last 6 months I have grown into somebody that I've always dreamed of being, and I thought it was going to cost me an arm and a leg, but all it did was cost me my insecurities. Like they're all now gone. Like it literally only costed my insecurities. So yeah, oftentimes it might feel like when people think like, oh, like we don't know much about, baby, I don't got nothing. I wasn't building nothing in the background. That's why when people like, I didn't take like, you're so mysterious, you don't really come out, you don't really be everywhere. I didn't take it as a compliment, because I'm not really building anything behind scenes. But they don't know that. They don't need to know that at all. But I just wanted to feel good about what I was keeping sacred to myself, which of course, like, even though I am on the internet and I'm talking and I'm sharing my life, there's a whole lot of me that is sacred. And like it's not as hollow. And yeah, and if a person tells you I told them my business, I'm not saying anything on the internet that I would not say, like I wouldn't mind sharing. Like that's what that was. But yeah, you guys, that is for today's video. Go outside, touch grass, touch the trees, be one with nature, visit park, take a trip. You can't fly, drive. You can't drive, walk. If you can't walk, get a bike. Well, if you couldn't get a pew, I don't know how that one would work, but find a way to get out of the house every single day. And yeah, but anyways, you guys, that was my sense on, are you a self-isolating loser, or are you mysterious? Oh no, are you mysterious, or are you just a self-isolating loser? But yeah, I do want to continue these segments. I don't know if I want to call them like university, because these are things that I have learned in the past 27 years of my life, truly and genuinely. And I do believe like no experience is just for nothing. Like everything is a learning curve if you're willing to learn. One of my favorite content creators, his name is Nerd Knowledge, and he says the best book that you're ever going to read is your past self. And honestly, that's where a lot of the surge and the knowledge, it's easy for me to propel when I am seeking to change anything about myself. But anyways, you guys kept it here for long enough. But if you haven't already, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. But until next time, you guys.